The puzzle of how 1,500 acres of land that belonged to Moi University was leased to a private investor, but that investor has never given the university even a shilling, has exposed the mind-boggling order that President Ruto ordered the universities, and could be the PPP model, the modern-day robbery. So this podcast, I want us to delve deep on this. But of significance, you're going to look at what Sudi is saying in the comfort of his house, and are we protecting? Is it protectionism or aiding the investigation? And I want us to get here. Members of Parliament on Wednesday tasked the Moi University Vice Chancellor, Professor Isaac Kosgei, over what they termed irregular lease of half of the institution's land to a private investor. The land in question has been plowed by a named developer who has paid nothing to the university. Kosgei, while appearing before the National Assembly of Public Investments Committee on Governance and Education, chaired by Bumula Member of Parliament, could not explain why they gave that land, half of the university land, to private investor. And in real sense, the agreement was the university was supposed to be paid 16,500 per acre, and that is translating to 24.7 million in a year. For the 5.5 years of the lease period, the company was to pay slightly 120 million. And a consortium of valuers of the land are also saying that amount that has also been quoted is underestimation. There is no way in Eldoret where 1,500 acres of land can be leased in 1 year, someone only spending 24.7 million. The undervaluation of the land itself is suspect, but maybe that is controlled by many other factors. And so let us listen to Kosgei while appearing in the National Assembly, and you'll see how he was fumbling until he was pushed to the corner and revealed the truth about the university land.
The Auditor General, I'm raising it because the lease did not capture in his responses. The Auditor General flagged the issue of land.
500 acres belong to the university, which has been given to an individual to farm.
The much figure of acres which has been in university land has been encroached by strangers other than being used by the university.
Please account for that land.
Yeah, we'll account and we'll...
No, tell us the status.
Okay, so the status...
What is happening on that land?
If I may talk about what Honorable Member is pointing out.
No, just account for all that land.
The main campus, we are occupying it. We've leased out 1,500 acres of farmland.
So you've leased 1,500 acres?
Yes, sir.
To a company?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
You are a university?
Yes, we are.
Okay? You are supposed to use that land to generate income?
Ideally, we are, but we have not been able to use that land because of financial constraints, Chair.
Okay. Honorable members, let's get the accountability of all the land. So that is 1,500 leased to?
Before Chairman, please, you have leased for, I may want to understand, why have you leased it out? What was the reason?
When you advertised for the position of the accountant, you understand it's several and you under a problem of getting the qualified person. Now you advertised for that.
The alleged farmer did his activities in the farm.
We got a directive from the Office of the President, myself and Egerton University, to say surrender own and utilize land for food production. particularly maize seed production. And through my minister also, the same directive came through the ministry.
Just, I want to be clear.
Yeah.
At a policy level,
Yes.
a directive coming from a minister is a policy issue.
Yes.
That covers all universities, right? Should,
it-
as it were.
And do we have a copy of the?
We do.
But do we have?
I mean,
You have yourselves.
yeah, we do, and we can provide.
Is it normal for a policy issue to cover only 2 universities?
Well, I must say, Chair, I don't have that capacity to really question a directive from, my.
Okay.
And I've joined that clip by a statement from Bahati Member of Parliament, Kibani Ngunjiri. Last year when he was talking about the Memorial War Hospital, he also mentioned that some part of the Egerton University land was also hived and was being used by some private investor. And I like the question that Jack Wamboka is asking. If the order is coming from the president or waziri, then it is a policy. Does it apply to one university? Or this is an order that has been issued in all the universities in the country? And is it that the other universities are not just raising the questions about it? But Moi University becomes the first suspect, or rather the first victim, to come out and speak about that irregularity. So what the members of parliament did, they drove all the way to Eldoret so that they can view the expansive land and have the real feel of the discussion that is going on about that land. And this is the land. While there, they were able to speak with some of the neighbors and some of the squatters that were supposed to be having that land. Remember, this land was actually occupied by squatters, but they were evicted from that land in 1970. It was given to them by 1972. Then around 1980s, Moi knocked them out of that land. And they were locked out under the guise that it was going to be used by the university. But more than 40 years later, the university has not utilized it. So when the squatters realized that that land was also now being given to a private investor, they launched a petition in parliament seeking that why is it being given really, and if it really belonged to them. So there are 3 parties involved. That the squatters were claiming the ownership of the land. The university is also saying they have issued the land under the orders from above. But despite of a pledge, despite of an agreement to receive 24.7 million a year, they've not received even a coin. And my cue, what is the parliament issued orders for any other activity in that land to stop, but that was not effected. And so they went ahead and now started summoning some of the leaders from the region who are adversely mentioned on that issue of land. And Mkarabati, he's not an engineer. Mkarabati Oscar Sudi was summoned to make an explanation around this. And today, this is what Sudi is saying. And I want you to listen because we'll then have to question, is he answering the contestation about the land?
Niliona juzi Josh Nyamoko, chairman wa Lands na timu yako wa Lands, mkiuliza eti mimi nikuje kwa komiti ya Lands. Siwezi kuja. Why? Hiyo shamba, it belongs to Moi University. Haina kesi, haina anything ya kuongea juu yake. It is directly for Moi University. Hata ukiuliza mtoto wa standard 2 hapo atakwambia shamba ni ya Moi University. Na ukitaka zaidi uliza assistant chief, uliza chief. Ukikuja juu sana uliza VC wa hapo na ulize watu wa area hiyo. Nimeona hiyo lugha mnatumia nyinyi wenyewe mnakaa kama grabbers. Especially your vice chair. We are going to expose you very soon. Kwa sababu hamwezi toka all the way from Nairobi kutumia pesa ya serikali, na hiyo ni is too direct. Hiyo shamba ni ya Moi University, hata haihitaji investigation. Ilikuwa inafaa mtu mmoja tu aenda hapo atembea aulize mimi nimesaliwa hapo. Na hapo sio ati ni cases peke yake. Ni Kapseret nusu, cases nusu. Lakini shamba ni ya Moi University. So na mwache ku drop majina ya watu. I am one of you. Why don't you call me and ask me? Ningekusaidia hata before you left Nairobi. Ninyi wote kwenda kwa hoteli na kuandika report na kusema don't drop. Umeingia kwa siasa ya cases bila wewe kujua. Umedanganywa na huyo mtu hapo wa cases ati you have to mention jina huyo mtu. I'm not a crabber. I've never crabbed any land. Me, I bought my lands. So please, hiyo shamba ni ya Moi University, haihitaji hata maswali, haihitaji chochote. It is direct from Moi University. So mwache kusumbuka bure. Kama mlidanganywa ati kuna shamba hapa mkifanya hivi mtagawiwa. So labda nyinyi ndio grabbers. But that land, it's belong to Moi University. No question about it. It is directly from 1980 something, early 80s. Na hata ukiangalia kwa map, you don't have even to go to all the way to Moi University to Eldoret. So please, hiyo shamba ni ya Moi University, period.
We need more time to get into this. I mean, there are things sincerely that we are not able to answer now, like that question. And we need to be given more time to go and look at the records and even liaise with the ministry and every other stakeholder.
Ningependa kuwauliza nyinyi matumaini yenu ni nini? Matumaini yenu mkiangalia hii shida ambayo mmepata kwa hii muda mrefu, mmetuambia wale watu ambao mlianza hii vita nao wamekufa. Na wale wamebaki ni wachache. Mungependa msaidiwe namna gani?
Mungependa tusaidiwe bile barua yetu ya settlement ilikuwa imesema they were drawing up a work plan na budget kupitia land fund trustees, settlement fund trustees, ili au masquatters wakawiwe maplot sawa na waingie huko wawe wananchi ambao sasa wamekuwa settled na serikali.
If you listen to what the Kapseret member of parliament is saying, he's simply trying to absolve himself from it and is not answering the question, because what the committee is investigating is what were the procurement, or rather, what is this environment? What is the environment where the university, or what is the legality of the order that allowed the university to give half of its land to a private developer? And that is for the period of 5 years. And so there's so many questions in it. And when I was just trying to do some research, one of the lecturers from University of Eldoret was actually telling me that the most significant question that many should ask is, yes, if there is an idle land and the administration is asking leaders, the vice chancellor of universities, to give lands to private investors, then does it mean that government have an ambition, or rather plan to invest in higher education? Or we are not thinking about how we can utilize the land for the university? And better still, can't we then support the universities so that themselves they can invest in that land and generate income and be able to develop those institutions, instead of the universities depending on funding from exchequer and the grants? So more of it. When you listen to what Oscar Sudi is saying, he seemed not to be answering the question. He's just arrogantly saying, I am not coming to explain because that land belongs to Moi University. There is no doubt that that land belongs to Moi University. But in real sense, the explanation about the ownership of the land cannot be left to university because they also look helpless. When you look at how Isaac Kosgei was speaking in that assembly, in the parliament, when he was pushed to make an explanation about it, he seems to be talking under duress. And was so cagey and economical with what he's gonna say there. And so I'm also asking the MPs, if the Vice Chancellor is saying that there were orders from the President and that was also delivered to them through the Ministry of, the Ministry of Agriculture, then they also need to know the door they need to knock. Because the new trend of using public land for private investment is a big thing and the biggest undoing of Kenya Kwanza. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our videos. I'm shooting this video around midnight. Yes, this is midnight. The update about the missing Malawian vice president is not yet out. The aviation guys have not yet established the location of the aeroplane, and probably we are waiting. I'm going to really follow this closely, and immediately we shall have full details of that development. Be sure that you are going to receive it in this channel. We'll try to make sure that we break it down so that we can understand. Now, why should this be a big worry for the country? It has started with the university. You never know about the next institution it might come. And then the question should be, what is the rationale of the president just making orders? I remember the last time when Uhuru Kenyatta tried to order Kenyatta University to cede some land for an international WHO, World Health Organization, to set up some infrastructure there. The university declined, and they said they had it as part of the plan. But later on, despite of them dealing around it, it was delivered. But it was delivered for a strategic infrastructure that was also going to support the university. So if it is not bad for us to have an investor who wants to invest in that land, probably I think it's being tilled for some farming. But why is it being shrouded in some secrecy, or why is it shrouded in corruption? Because then that negates the whole essence of it. If you want to pump money and we have investors, then do you just fly and get someone who says, I want this, I am able to invest? Then you just come home and start calling people and say, give that land for person X and Y. And I'm wondering, why is Oscar Sudi talking that way? Because at the end of the day, I don't think there is nothing wrong by Oscar Sudi coming out to say, just appearing before that assembly and say, before that committee, and say what exactly he knows about the issue of land, of that land. Because he seems to be talking with a lot of entitlement, and I don't know where that entitlement is coming from. That is what should worry most of us. But the president should be more worried about these cases of land. Because even in Naivasha, there is that the Bibi land issue, where and that land issue in the Bibi has pitted him against squatters. People who believe that they're the indigenous owners of that land. And that was in Naivasha. The same problem is then reoccurring in Eldoret, where one of the complainers that is seeking ownership, that is claiming ownership of the disputed 1,500 acres of land, are squatters. So people will also argue that, is it a coincidence that president is getting himself in some of these land squabbles? And I think it's something that he should look into. But this is the scenario playing here. We cannot really pinpoint where exactly, because the university, to me, the scenario number one, the university to me looks to be the complainer here. But because there were orders, they cannot come out and complain. And so this case is also an opportunity for them to put their side of the bargain. I understand that in everything there is an interest. I do not really agree that Isaac Koskei, the VC, the Moi University VC, can just give land, fail to get any shilling, and keep quiet. And probably this is a case of a promise that was not delivered. And the VC cannot find a way to even relay its point. So there could be inside game that even the person that launched the petition at the National Assembly could have gotten the blessings of the university so that the matter could be blown, or rather the squatters were just whistleblowers, so that university will find a way of putting their bargain. Because as much as they are trying to protect, remember the parliament is asking, give us the identities of the directors of the land, of the investor, of the company that has been given the land. And the university is a bit cagey on providing it. And just from that point first, the way they're dilly-dallying about that already tells you that the transaction is not that looking good. So the scenario number one is the university is complaining. The scenario number two, the PPP model by Kenya Kwanza in executing some of these development agendas is very suspect. And let's go to Kiambu. The affordable housing scheme that was started by the president to create jobs and also solve a housing problem and create a pool of homeowners really is not getting a good reception in Kiambu. The model has been using the public land to give and then collect the taxes, use the public land as an incentive, then the land is constructed under the guise that with all those incentives being given, the cost of that house would go down. But in Kiambu, the governor of Matangi has been telling the president that I cannot give Kiambu land to someone from somewhere just to come up and put his house there in the language of an investment, where the same land should be used to help the people of Kiambu. Now, this is the case of what is happening in the Moi University, where there is an investor, and because you can easily make a call, and if sometimes I will just really agree with what Kosgei will do. He has no option. If an university VC, Vice Chancellor post is one of the most political posts, civil servants that really sit in very political posts like those ones. Then the thirdly is the Kalenjin political figures are deeply into this land Moi University issue. And so, even the way Sudi is talking, there seems to be some protection scheme that is being developed. Thank you.